Hey guys, Justin here with AmericanMuscle.com, and today we're taking a closer look at and installing the S550 Euro's 2024 style taillights with the clear lenses available for your 2015 and newer Mustang at home. Now you guys should be checking out the S550 Euro options if you'd like to implement the combination of that new S650 angular styling along with the Euro lenses. And that's basically going to swap your more traditional US spec red lens for a clear lens, and those of course will be loaded with those high-powered red LEDs. A couple things to talk about here, guys, so let's get after it. Now diving into our features here, guys, and the biggest in my opinion with these lights will be the very unique change in appearance thanks to the modern S650 inspired styling for your S550 at home. By now, I'm sure most Mustang fans have seen the 2024 Mustangs and the changes Ford has made to the rear end. Now, that big change and implementation of more of a wedge shape really did alter the previous S550 tri-bar design and almost kind of inverted it, for lack of a better word. And that does, of course, lead to a very different looking rear end. Now, not only were the angles a bit different with the 24, of course, but instead of those lenses really kind of sticking out or protruding from the rear end like they did with the 2015 through 2023 cars, the 24 was a little bit more lower profile. In fact, you can definitely check that out here. You'll notice those lenses don't really stick out all that far, and that is something that definitely contributes to a different look, of course, but also just follows that same design as the S650. And then there are the clear lenses, and if you guys didn't know, a lot of the Euro spec Mustangs do come stock with clear taillights overseas, and a lot of US spec owners over here really like swapping out those red lenses for the Euro inspired clear option. Certainly adds a different look, certainly cleaner in some regards, and it is something that will separate your ride from the rest. Construction is going to be very similar to the OE taillights in a lot of different ways. For instance, you are going to start off with the gloss black ABS plastic base, which does play home to those clear tri-bar lenses, and behind those lenses will be the high-powered red LED lighting, just to keep everything legal. Now the lights will still retain that iconic sequential pattern for the signals themselves, and they will also feature a very simple plug and play install with no extra wiring needed, and we'll show you a little bit more on that here in a minute. Now coming in at or around the low $600 price point, the S550 Euro 2024 style tails will be one of the more expensive options on the site for your S550 at the time of this video. However, I should point out that they are one of the only options to deliver that S650 styling along with those clear lenses, so you definitely have to take those things into consideration. All right, now we want to shift gears and get into the installation process. And the site's going to call this correctly a solid 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter. Thanks again to the simple plug and play design, no modification needed. Very simple stuff. Therefore, expect maybe an hour at absolute most to complete this from start to finish. But now let's throw it out to the guys in the shop for our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown.
The tools you'll need for this project are a ratchet, a 10mm socket, a trim panel removal tool, a soft trim panel removal tool, a pair of side cutters, and you'll also need to source some zip ties. Hi everyone, today we're installing a set of taillights on our Mustang, but first, let's watch a short video on how to uninstall the stock lights.
All right, we're gonna start off by first popping the trunk to gain access to the inner panels here. All right, we're gonna first start off by getting our liner out of the way there, and then we're gonna remove the 4 plastic nuts holding the back plastic on. Two over here as well. Set these to the side. All right, now I have a push pin removal tool. There are 2 Christmas tree clips that you have to remove. There's one here, and there's one right on the other side. Now we can peel back our liner to expose our wiring harness right here. And then we have to get this 10mm nut off that stud right there. So you have to get this 10mm nut, and then these 2. Those are the only 3 holding in the taillight housing. All right, the first thing I'm gonna do is unplug this taillight, and then take my 10mm socket am using a deep socket. Start loosening up this nut until it's finger tight, and you can back it off the rest of the way. Hold on to this hardware, you will be reusing it. Now there are 2 more up here as well. All right, we're gonna repeat that on the other side as well. All right, now with your wiring and your 3 nuts removed, we can now pull straight back on our taillight assembly. Now there's gonna be a grommet right here to hold your wiring harness in place. Peel back that and bring back your plug. It's the same step for this side as well. Pull straight back. Take your grommet out, as well as your plug.
All right, now we're ready to install our new light. And you'll notice on the new harness, there is an additional wire here. And this wire actually has a switch attached to it. So what this switch does is this alternates the color of your turn signals from red to yellow. So we'll show you how to operate that after we get it installed. So let's go ahead and get this in. So we're gonna go ahead and feed our wires back in through the hole for the grommet, feed our connector in, and then go ahead and secure the grommet, make sure it's seated, and then we can go ahead and slide our light back into place. Once we've got it back into position, we can go ahead and reattach it using the original 3 nuts that we took off. So we've got the 2 studs right here. And then the one, it's a little hard to see, but it's back here in the corner. And then we'll tighten it down using our 10mm socket. Now, once we've got that done, we can go ahead and plug in our harness from our light to our body harness, making sure that it snaps into place. All right, and your switch here, for our purposes, we're just gonna set this down inside here so we can show you later exactly how that works. But you can always tuck that back up inside once you've determined which light color that you want on yours. Now that we've got our lights installed, it's time to make a decision. Do you want your hazard lights to have the same functionality as your tail lights? Now with the tail lights, they do have several different modes that you can put it in. You can have a sequential or a standard light flashing, or you can have a waterfall type effect, and you can also change the color from yellow to red. Now you can do the same thing with your hazards, provided of course you hook up the additional harness. So if you want your hazards to flash normally, you don't have to do anything at all. But if you want to add the additional functionality to them, then we've got to run this new wiring harness. So this part of the harness here that you see with the larger of the 2 connectors, and if they're shortly connected to each other, this is the one that we're going to connect to our 3rd brake light. The other smaller ends are actually going to plug into the light harness that came with the lights. So let's go ahead and get this started. We'll get this harness run. We'll show you how we're going to run it. You can figure out your own way if you want to, but we'll show you one way to actually get this connected. All right, so we're going to start off with connecting to our 3rd brake light first. So we're going to run this harness through the back of the trunk here, up to the back seats, and then from there we'll run it up along the side panels of the car and up under the headliner to connect it to the 3rd brake light. So what you're going to want to do is pull the trim panel back on the trunk, and it's only connected by magnets here. So what we're going to do is we're going to slide this up in underneath and behind this trim panel. It's a little difficult to see because of the clearances, but you'll get the idea once you start running your wires through. All right, now once you've got it run up to the cross member behind the rear seats, we'll just tuck this in. All right, now the next thing you're going to want to do is lay down both of your back seats so that they're flat, because you're going to need the room in there to run the rest of the wire through. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to hook up the back side of the harness to our taillights themselves. Since we're going from the passenger side to run our harness up to the third brake light, we're going to use the short side of the other extension here to hook up to the passenger side, and then we'll run the longer side over to the driver's side. To connect the short side of the harness to our passenger side light, you're going to see a single yellow wire on the back of the light. What you're going to do is push in on the release clip and separate that, and then we're going to connect our short side of this harness to the light coming down from the light itself. So we're just going to plug that in and lock it into place. So the connector that is on the actual vehicle harness, we're just going to leave out. Now we can go ahead and hook up the other side to the driver's light. Now we'll plug in the other side to the driver's light, just like we did on the passenger side. Now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and zip tie this yellow wire to the vehicle wiring harness here to make sure that it stays out of the way. So we'll just use a small zip tie here and zip tie it in several places along the vehicle harness. All right, once you've got them all zip tied in, you can go ahead and use a pair of side cutters and just cut off the excess. All right, now we'll finish running the harness up to our third brake light. To do that, we're going to use our soft trim removal tool, and we're going to remove this C-pillar trim here, and we're going to pull this seat belt trim away from the back of the vehicle. So we'll just insert our trim tool underneath our trim panel here and just pull it down. Now you don't want to pull too hard because it is attached up here, and also just be aware that you are dealing pretty closely to the airbag. So just be a little careful when you're doing that. Now we'll go ahead and pull this back piece away. And that's really all you need for that. Now we'll go ahead and run our harness. For right now, we're just going to run it up behind here and along the front of the airbag, and then we'll go underneath the headliner at the back. All right, now we'll go ahead and pull our headliner down so that we can connect this end of the harness to our third brake light. All right, so now we're just going to pull down on the back of the headliner here, and you can see the connector for the third brake light right here. So we're just going to pull that down out of the clips to give us better access to the release lever. And then you'll compress the release lever here and separate the connector. Once you've got that separated, now we can connect the other end of our harness here. So we'll plug one end into one side and the other harness to the other side. Push it in until it locks into place, and then you can push this back up one side of it and lock it into the connector. Then we're going to go ahead and run the wire along the back side of the headliner and just tuck it all in so that it's all closed. Now we're just going to zip tie this wire, our yellow wire, up to the harness that's already here for the airbag, just to keep it out of the way. We'll put one more back here. And then we'll just cut off the excess on the zip tie. Now we'll go ahead and replace our C-pillar trim. And now we'll finish tucking in our wire at the back. All right, now we're just going to tuck the rest of this excess wire here up between the panels, and then go ahead and reattach our seat belt trim. Now we can go back and take care of the rest of the excess wire in the back. All right, now you can see we've got some excess harness here, so we're just going to wrap that all up together. We'll put a zip tie around it. All right, and then we can tuck it back in behind our panel here. All right, now we're ready to actually get into the operational aspects of our lights. And to do that, we're going to be using this red button here that's attached to the harness. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that there is one for each light, so you will have to set them together, or you're going to end up with different functionalities for each light. Now that we've got our lights and our harness installed, we can finish everything up by reinstalling our trunk trim panel. We'll install our 4 knobs in the corner. Place our lower panel, and your installation is now complete. And that wraps up our review and install of the S550 Euro 2024 style taillights with the black housing and clear lens for your 15 to 23 Mustang. Thanks for watching, and remember, for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.